Praise Yahuah, brothers and sisters. Praise him, the Almighty One, the King of Kings, Masters of Masters, mightier than all mighty ones, for he is the Almighty. He is kind and compassionate, loving, trustworthy, reliable. He is one in whom we can depend. Tehillim 119 reads, verse 10, "Let me not stray from your commands. I have treasured up your word in my heart, that I might not sin against you. Baruch are you, O Yahuah, teach me your laws." And this is verse 10 through 12. Our audio today is going to be entitled, "Hearken to the Voice of Yahuah's Commands." And we are still in the book of Adam and Asha. And we're going to, like we did with the other 4 videos, attach them to Scripture. So we're hearkening unto the voice of Yahuah's commands. "And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Yahuah Aluah walking." His voice was walking "in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuah Aluah amongst the trees of the garden. And Yahuah Aluah called unto Adam and said unto him, Where are you? And Adam said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked and I hid myself. And he said, Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded you that you should not eat? And the man said, The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And Aluah, Yahuah, said unto the woman, What is this that you have done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And to Adam he said, Because you have hearkened unto the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, You shall not eat of it, cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow shall you eat of it all the days of your life. Now, reading from Adam and Ashah book, I warned you of the tree. Then concerning the tree, I commanded you not to eat of it. Yet I knew that Satan had deceived himself, who had deceived himself, would also deceive you. So I made known to you by means of the tree not to come near him. And I told you not to eat of the fruit thereof, nor to taste of it, nor yet to sit under it, nor to yield to it. Had I not been and spoken to you, O Adam, concerning the tree, and had I left you without a commandment, and had you sinned, it would have been an offense on my part. But not having given you an order, you would have turned around and blamed it on me. But I commanded you and warned you, and still you fell. I put the still in there, but you fell. After the warning and me commanding you, you fell. Because you know what? When he gives us the commandments and he warns us, that's so we won't fail. But how many times, raising my hand, probably should raise both hands, have I still fallen because then I heard another voice, which was the voice of reasoning and justifying, And I didn't heed to the warning. So he says, because I commanded you and warned you, and you fell, so my creatures cannot blame me, but on them alone. Brothers and sisters, we're not going to have any excuse. Sometimes I get scared. And scared might not really be the right word, but I'm scared. We're supposed to be afraid of him. He told Adam that if he had let his wrath come, it would have destroyed him. So Yah's wrath, no man can stand under it. In Ibram, it says that, how does he say it? It's a terrible thing to fall into the hands I don't remember how it says it, but it lets us know that we don't want to fall in his hands. So his creatures have no excuse. We can't blame him because we got a book that's full of commandments and warnings. Still in the book of Adam. Then said Yahuah, who was compassionate and loving and kind and full of pity. He heard Adam's voice. This voice he said to him, O Adam, as long as the good angel was obedient to me, a bright light rested on him and on his host. So he had other messengers that were under him. I guess the same ones that followed him. Oh, Adam, as long as the angel was good to me, a bright light rested on him and on his host. But he transgressed my commandment. I deprived him of that bright nature, and he became dark. And when he was in the heavens and in the realms of light, he knew nothing of darkness. But he transgressed, and I made him fall from the Shamayim unto the Arets. And it was this darkness that came over him. And on you, O Adam, while in my garden and obedient to me, did not the bright light rest also on you? But when I heard of your transgression, I deprived you of that bright light. Yet of my compassion, I didn't turn you into darkness, but I made you your body of flesh, where I spread the skin in order that it may bear cold and heat. If I had let my wrath fall heavily on you, it would have destroyed you. And had I turned you into darkness, it would have been as if I had killed you. But in my kindness, I have made you as you are. When you transgressed my commandment, O Adam, I drove you from the garden and made you come forth into this land, and commanded you to live in this cave, and darkness covered you as it did over him who transgressed my commandment. Praise Yah for his compassion. Because none of us would be standing today if that compassion wasn't still working. I know for me. Proverbs 16, verses 16 through 19. How much better it is to get wisdom than gold, and to get knowledge rather than to be chosen than silver. The highway of the upright is to depart from evil. He that keeps his way preserves his soul, his being. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better it is to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than divide the spoil with the proud. The highway of the upright is to depart from evil. 1 Peter 5, verses 5 through 9. For Yahuah resists the proud and gives grace to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Yahuah, that he may exalt you in due time. Put all your care upon him, for he cares for you. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, as a roaring lion, walks about seeking whom he may devour. Whom resist steadfast in belief, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. As soon as we know, as soon as we know a thought comes, 2 Corinthians 10 tells us to bring those thoughts into captivity, to make them be obedient. Make them be obedient to Yahuah. Because everything starts with a thought. We have to be steadfast, resist steadfast, being vigilant. Matthew 6, verse 24 through 34. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. We cannot serve Aluah and Mammon, which is money, fame, fortune. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life. Remember, everything starts with a thought. Take no thought for your life, what you shall eat or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body, what you shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your Father feeds them, and your Father in the Shamayim feeds them. Are you not much better than they? What one of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit into his stature? And why take thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his esteem was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore if Aluah so clothe the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O you a little belief? Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For all these things do the pagans seek. For all these things do the unbelievers seek. For your Father in the Shamayim knows that you have need of all these things. But seek ye first the kingdom of Aluah and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Take therefore no thought for the morrow, for the morrow shall take thought of the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Take no thought, saying. If a thought comes to our minds, we don't have to say it. That's when we start doing that warfare. So, 1 Kings 13, 1 through 32. This story, I still haven't heard from Yah. I haven't heard from him yet about this prophet. And maybe he won't ever tell me. But I know there's been some things I've asked him about, and sometimes it's been a few years before I got the answer, the revelation of it. So here we go. 1 Kings 13. And behold, there came a man of Aluah out of Judah by the word of Yahuah unto Bethel. And Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense. And he cried against the altar in the word of Yahuah, and said, O altar, altar, thus saith Yahuah, behold, a child shall be born into the house of David, Josiah by name, and unto you shall he offer the priests of the high places that burn incense upon you, and men's bones shall be burnt upon you. And he gave a sign the same day, saying, this is the sign which Yahuah has spoken. Behold, the altar shall be rent, and the ashes that are upon it shall be poured out. And it came to pass, when King Jehoram heard the saying of the man of Aluah, which had cried against the altar in Bethel, that he put his hand from the altar, saying, lay hold on him. And his hand which he put forth against him dried up, so that he could not pull it in again to him. Don't do my prophets no harm. That's what is written in Tehillim 105. So he threw his hand out to bring a command to destroy the man of Aluah. And he couldn't draw the hand back. The altar also was rent, and the ashes poured out from the altar, according to the sign that the man of Aluah had given by the word of Yahuah. And the king answered and said unto the man of Aluah, entreat now the face of Yahuah your Aluah, and ask for me that my hand may be restored again. And the man of Aluah besought Yahuah, and the king's hand was restored to him again, and became as it was before. And the king said unto the man of Aluah, Come home with me and refresh yourself, and I will give you a reward. And the man of Aluah said unto the king, If you will give me half your house, I will not go in with you. Neither will I eat bread nor drink water in this place. For so it was charged me by the word of Yahuah, saying, Eat no bread, nor drink water, nor turn again by the same way that you came. So he went another way, and returned not by the way that he came to Bethel. Now there dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of Aluah had done in that day in Bethel. The words which he had spoken unto the king, them and they told also to their father. And their father said unto them, What way did he go? And his sons had seen what way the man of Aluah went, which came from Judah. And he said unto his sons, Saddle me the ass. So they saddled him the ass, and he rode thereon, and went after the man of Aluah, and found him sitting under an oak. And he said unto him, Are you the man of Aluah that came from Judah? And he said, I am. Then he said unto him, Come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I may not return with you, nor go in with you. Neither will I eat bread nor drink water with you in this place. For it was said to me by the word of Yahuah, You shall not eat bread nor drink water there, nor turn again to go by the way that you came. He said unto him, I am a prophet also as you are. And an angel spoke to me by the word of Yahuah, saying, Bring him back with you into your house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him. So he went back with them, and did eat bread in his house and drink water. And it came to pass, as they sat at the table, that the word of Yahuah came unto the prophet that brought him back. And he cried to the man of Aluah that came from Judah, saying, Thus said Yahuah, For as much as you have disobeyed the mouth of Yahuah, and have not kept the commandment that Yahuah your Aluah commanded you, but came back and have eaten bread and drunk water in the place, because Yahuah did say to you, Eat no bread and drink no water, your carcass shall not come unto the sepulchre of your fathers. I am moved right now because we have got to obey the voice of his commands. Because when we get in the thick of what's coming, we don't know who's going to deceive us. It may be an artificial voice, personage. It may be someone that we know very well. But if Yahuah tells us something, no matter how real the other thing looks, or no matter how real it may sound, we obey the voice of Yahuah's commands. And I think it's very sad that this man lied to him. And it came to pass, after he had eaten bread and after he had drunk, that he saddled for him the ass. And then he's going to be all kind and saddle the donkey for him, specifically for the prophet whom he had brought back. And when he was gone, a lion met him by the way and slew him, and his carcass was thrown in the way. And the ass stood by it. The lion also stood by the carcass. And behold, men passed by and saw the carcass thrown in the way, and the lion standing by the carcass. And they came and told it in the city where the old prophet dwelt. And when the prophet that brought him back by the way heard thereof, he said, It is the man of Aluah who is disobedient unto the word of Yahuah. Therefore Yahuah hath delivered him unto the lion, which has torn him and slain him, according to the word of Yahuah which he spake unto him. And he spake to his son, saying, Saddle me the ass. And they saddled him. And he went and found his carcass thrown in the way, and the ass and the lion standing by the carcass. The lion had not eaten the carcass, nor torn the ass. And the prophet took up the carcass of the man of Aluah, and laid it upon the ass, and brought it back. And the old prophet came to the city to mourn and to bury him. And he laid his carcass in his own grave, and they mourned over him, saying, Alas, my brother. And it came to pass, after he had buried him, that he spoke to his son, saying, When I am dead, then bury me in the sepulchre within the man of Aluah is buried. Lay my bones beside his bones. For the saying which he cried by the word of Yahuah against the altar in Bethel, and against all the houses of the high places that are in the city of Samaria shall surely come to pass. You know, the old prophet didn't even apologize. At least we don't see it in these scriptures, that he didn't apologize to him and say, I apologize, brother, but I just wanted to spend some time with you. You sound like you were obedient to the Most High, and all that you said is going to come to pass. We don't see where he even apologized to him. And so it's very upsetting to me. Yet this is probably compares to nothing to what we're going to see. Tehillim 119 verses 4, 10 through 11. You have commanded us to keep your precepts diligently. With my whole heart have I sought you. Oh, let me not wander from your commands. Your word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against you. We opened up with those verses. John 10 verse 3 through 5. To him the porter opens, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And when he puts forth his own sheep, he goes before them. And the sheep follow him, and they know his voice. And a stranger they will not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. We will flee from any voice that is not the voice of Yahuah's command. Mishle 1, Proverbs 1. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my ruah unto you. I will make known my words unto you, because I have called, and you refused. I've stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But you have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear comes. When your fear comes as desolation, and your destruction comes as a whirlwind. When distress and anguish comes upon you. Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they will not find me. For what they hated, but that they hated knowledge and did not choose to fear Yahuah. They would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. For whoso hearken unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. So he says, therefore they shall eat of the fruit of their own way. See, when we think we know the way, we always find there's destruction. Remember that one verse in Miscellaneous says, lean on to our own understanding. He says, therefore they shall eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. Our ways are not higher than his ways, and our thoughts are not higher than his thoughts. We do not know as much as he does. One verse, I think it was Paul, might have been James, wrote that that we're not to think that we stand lest we fall. We're not to think that we're something when we're nothing. And we ought to think that everything that we've gained in knowledge counted as dung. We are nothing without him. He told us that in John 15. We got to stay connected to the vine. Let us not give ear to anything contrary to the voice of Yahuah's commands. Do you know the story of when Naaman came to Elisha to be healed of leprosy? And he got his healing, and he wanted to pay the prophet. He had brought several changes of clothing and money and just different gifts, and the prophet didn't want it. And so Naaman went on his way to go home, and Gehazi, the prophet's servant, he went running after him and said that the prophet had changed his mind. There was two young men who was going to get it. And so he gave them the gifts. And so when he got back to the prophet said, where you been? He said, oh, nowhere. And the prophet, of course, knew, because Yahuah had told him what had happened. He said, the very leprosy that was on Naaman, I'm putting it on you and your descendants. There's a message on this platform that talks about ambition. Of course, I don't remember the title. I think is this a time? Is this a time for ambition? I'll put it in the description because I don't know right now what it's called. But it talks about this story about Naaman and Gehazi. We can't be and see the ways Eve got was when the serpent said, you know, oh, that's because Aluah knows that the day you eat of this tree, you're going to be like him. They already were pretty much like him. And you know what I was thinking too, as I was reading today, that when Yahuah came, when the voice of Yahuah was walking in the cool of the day, I think that was like the time when he and Adam probably met at the end of the day, you know, to talk about how the day went. And I just felt like when I read it today that he already knew what had happened and he was already missing Adam. Adam, where are you? I just believe he's just that compassionate. And he cherishes our relationships with him. And when we fall short, he misses us. And he's concerned. And so that's why we have to become vigilant. We have to become skillful with the word and keen in our ears in hearing his voice, and very distinct in knowing the voice of Yahuah compared to that of another. He said his sheep know his voice, and another they'll not follow, they'll flee from him. I have work to do. I've got to get keener in this. I was talking to him about that today. Probably a fast, something. You know, Yahuah said through Yahushua that if our hand offends us, cut it off. If our eye offends us, pluck it out. It's better to go into eternal life missing one member than not make it. And he is so kind and compassionate and slow to anger. Psalms 103 says, slow to anger, pitiful in his kindness. He remembers our frameness of dust. But we cannot think because judgment is slow coming that we're getting away with something because the books are being written in. And nothing that's done in secret won't stay a secret. So let's hear the voice. Let's hearken to the voice of Yahuwah's commands. He gives us commands to protect us and to warn us. That's why he does that. To protect us and to warn us. Protect us from what? The one that he knows, leaning up against that tree, waiting for us to come by so he can beguile us, inveigle us, make forth some type of entrance into deception, trip us up. He's stalking about like a lion, seeking whom he may devour. And so what's he doing? He's seeking those whom he may devour. He's looking to see who is being vigilant, who is being obedient, who is being attentive, who is listening, who is guarding their heart, who is being lax, who is being careless, who is making excuses, who is it that thinks they have time to get it right, who is it who thinks that Yah is lax and he understands. Yahuwah said, but I commanded you and warned you. and you fell. And of course, I put in it, and still you fell. With the warnings and with the commandments, you still fell. It would have been an offense on my part for not having given you any order, and you would turn around and blame me for it. But I did give you a command, and I have warned you. And most of them are repeated. He repeats them. We don't want to be classified as hard-headed, stiff-necked, hard-hearted. Because he said, I said in my wrath, they will not enter into my rest. 40 years I was grieved with these people. And we don't want him saying that about us. That he grieved with us and that we're not entering because of our disobedience, our hard-headedness, our stiff-neckedness, and our constant running to other mighty ones. And that's, you know what, and we really need to be looking at ourselves and seeing, do we have mighty ones? Are there other things that distract us and keep getting more of our attention than he does? Do we listen more to that word that one is saying or that one is saying? Do we measure up to anything that's in the world and think it's okay? The Pentecostals a long time ago were a strict group of people. And maybe the Quakers, I don't know much about them. And now everybody's lax. And maybe some of it was too strict, I don't know. It probably wasn't. It probably was just their method of how they went about doing it. But it probably wasn't that strict. It probably was right along the line of what Yahuah commanded. Because we're not supposed to look like the world. We're not supposed to act like the world. We're not supposed to desire the things of the world. We're not supposed to go where they go. You know what I'm saying? As far as entertainment, we're not supposed to be we're not supposed to be with them. That's why we're set apart. Our desires are not even of that, of the other people. We're not supposed to be mixing. So let's hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah's commands. Until next time, brothers and sisters, stay INCOURAGE, courage. Stay in it. Stay in courage. And stay encouraged. ENCOURAGE. I was seeing that on another audio that a sister has shared that with me. So let's stay in courage both ways. Until next time, brothers and sisters, be encouraged and stay encouraged. We need to sharpen our hearing. But you know what? He says his sheep are going to automatically know his voice. They just know his voice because they're his sheep. And they'll flee from another. Anyone else, they'll flee from them if they're not speaking what thus saith Yahuwah. If it's not lining up with thus saith Yahuwah. And we might not know word for word what he has said, but we know the spirit we know the ruah of it. And we'll know if it's him. And then the very ruah, the essence of him being on the inside of us, will prompt us and tell us, that's not me. That's not me. That's an angel. That's the enemy dressed as an angel of light. That's not me. Those are not my words. No. Be encouraged. Stay encouraged. And we'll meet again soon. Praise Yah. Shalom. Shalama. Shalom. Shalawah. I love you in Yahuwah. Brothers and sisters, let's make it. Let's be truthful with one another. Let's be kind to one another. Let's remember each other. requesting y'all to help each other, all of us, to make it. Just hold each other up. Hold each other up. Because we are all going to be facing something. And it's going to be about a choice. I heard the other day that what they're wanting to do is bring us all to a place that we're in such dire need that's going to be about life and death. And so some people are going to give in because they feel like they're dying. Well, you know what? Let's get the mind that, look, I'm dying, enduring to the end. I'm dying, enduring to the end. Because that death is not the second death. I'm going to rise again. I will be resurrected. I will be living eternally. Don't give in. Don't give in. Don't give in. Don't give in. However the calamity comes, whatever it is, we stand strong in Yahuah. Well, it's par for the course. Takes me a little while to leave y'all, but I'm going to close, and I'll talk to y'all again. Let's hearken to the voice of Yahuah's commands so we can be victorious, because we win in Yah, and that's how we're going to win. That's how we're going to win. Having a full allegiance to Him, the King, standing on His word that never fails, and that was in the beginning, because He rests in the bosom of the Father. The word. Give voice to His word. Give ear to the voice of His word, I should say. Give ear to the voice of His word. Give ear to the voice of His word. And the scripture said, Adam heard the voice of Yahuah Aluah walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And they hid themselves from the presence of Yahuah Aluah amongst the trees. I heard the voice of Yahuah Aluah walking in the garden. Isn't that something? Goes to show right there. The word. That word was made flesh. I'll talk to you next time, brothers and sisters. Stay encouraged. Remember, we win. We win, we win, we win in Yahuah, the mighty one.